What's up, YouTube? Thanks for stopping by. Smash that like button. Hit subscribe. Turn on alerts to get notified when we go live on our YouTube channel. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson. I'm your host. It is, I forgot what day it is. I don't really care anymore. Just kidding. It's Wednesday, July 20th. If you're listening to the podcast, if you're watching live on YouTube, Tuesday, July 19th. And you know what? You can tell that it's that the vacation's over.
Over.
The reality of the situation is set in, and Ryan Wilson is getting angry, folks. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably a 5.5. I've certainly been angrier at you. Angry isn't the word, just fed up enough.
It's just like, it's not even, I don't think it's fed up. It's enough is a good one. I don't think it's fed up. It's just like, you didn't feel like logging in and seeing my face.
Well, that's not true.
And
just that, you're so predictably unreliable that I just didn't have the patience for today dealing with my two other kids. So I took it out on you, and I'll probably take it on our 13-year-old dog later.
Poor dog. Just gonna beat.
Do your parents still have their labs?
Yeah. 2 of them.
Do you have labs growing up, or are they just?
Yeah, we had 2 litters of 11 growing up.
Sweet mercy. How long did they live on average?
It's hard to say with the litters of 11 because we had a couple that had hip dysplasia. But I would say that.
Did you put them down with hip dysplasia?
Yeah. I put a lot of dogs down.
Well, it sounds like you just went out in the backyard and did it yourself.
I mean,
you live on a farm. That's how Dwight Schrute does it. If that makes you feel any better or worse.
I feel like our labs, like, I'd say on average, like 10 years.
Oh, okay. Well,
maybe 12 on average.
You have what? Chocolates?
We had black labs growing up, and my parents currently had chocolates. Now currently have black labs.
Yeah, so we have a yellow lab who's 13, and when I say he probably wishes he was only lived to the age of 12, I say that with 100% certainty because his back legs don't work. I think he has like dementia. I don't think he likes being here, and honestly, he's just an 80-pound ball of fur walking around at this point.
Are you describing yourself?
Yeah, half a dozen to one. Another question I've been thinking about since he is 13.
Brainless ball of fur who just wants to go.
What did you just bury your dogs in the backyard in the farm, or how did you, when the dog went to meet baby Jesus, what'd you do with the body?
Oh, yeah, we buried him in the farm.
Okay.
It would depend on the situation too. Like we had a dog that, ran up. So my parents live on the farm is not like, it's down like a quarter of a mile dirt road or a third of a mile dirt road. And we had one dog, get up to the top of the road and get hit by a car. Yeah. And then, other times, it just varies,
At any point, did you take it to the vet to be cremated or whatever the vet does?
Yeah, like when the dog got hit by the car, we took him to the vet. And then we had a dog that got attacked by another dog.
Oh, geez. And killed it?
Yeah.
What kind of dog attacked it?
Chocolate lab attacked a black lab.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Was it your chocolate lab?
Yeah, both our dogs. It was crazy.
Was that chocolate lab different than the other dogs mentally? Like in terms of?
No, it was like I think they're fighting over a girl.
Is that a thing for dogs?
Yeah, well, somebody was in heat and he went out.
Oh, okay. Because you were breeding these dogs too, right?
Yeah, this was much later, but yeah.
Wow, never heard of a lab on lab crime. All right, we can move on. I was just curious because I've been thinking about, once the dog actually goes to baby Jesus, I don't want to have to figure out then at that moment whether I got to go in the backyard or whether I got to call the vets. So.
Like who the Merlin attack? Which dog was it? Yeah, we had to take the dog to like the vet.
That's vicious.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it was made for. We were down at the river and made for a rough afternoon. Anywho,
on that positive note, on death and destruction.
Jeez,
canine death and destruction. Let's
really puts our little spat about USB cords into perspective.
It wasn't about USB cords, but fair enough.
I mean, we got this stupid argument about because I'm like doing this fantasy draft.
It wasn't an argument. I didn't have the patience to go through.
You're just annoyed at me.
Yeah, I'm over it.
Okay. Anyway, let's talk. We are nominee for the best sports podcast in the Best Sports Podcast category in the People's Choice Podcast Awards. And if you guys want to do us a solid, anyone listening or watching, go to podcastawards.com/app/sign up, toggle down to the sports category and nominate pick 6. We'll go through. If we get through to the next stage, it's the finals. We could win the ESPN Fantasy Focus Award, which is like Best Sports Podcast, which again, like just name it something else. Like call it like the Terry Bradshaw podcast, or I don't know, something, anything.
Best sports and canine related podcast.
That's right. That's right. And best sports tattoo and dog podcast. Oh, it takes about 60 seconds. There's a link in the episode description at the top. So hit that up and help us get through. As I've mentioned multiple times, if we win the award, the full award, not get through the next round, I will get a tattoo of listener's choice. So if you want to see me suffer, go vote for us.
A couple more donations came in too for some inexplicable reason for the.
Oh yeah, that's right. Ryan Wilson is getting a tattoo as well in Nashville in about, oh my gosh, you realize it's like, less than a month until you get a tattoo. That's kind of
26 days.
Who's keeping track? If you want to crank up the quality of Ryan Wilson's tattoo,
I don't know how. I would say quit giving money, but people don't seem to understand the words as I say them out loud. But go ahead.
Send him money. You can send him money. You can send him $1. Did you get any request?
Just $1 million.
Okay. You can send him money, $1, $100. I don't care, $1,000, whatever you want to send him.
No, don't do that.
Why?
What am I going to do with $1,000 other than
if there's money left over? We'll donate it to charity.
All right.
At Ryan-Wilson-37831 is Ryan.
I love that you can't do anything from 1 minute to the next, but you know my Venmo address, whatever. I don't know what's called. What's it called? Your Venmo
handle. I was reading it off my phone. I have to go find it. I know how to find it really quickly.
But you find it quickly, so that's progress, I suppose. All right.
You have 3 friends on Venmo. One of them's me. Actually, I don't think you ever
accepted. Who are the other 2? Must be. Can you see who they are?
Yeah.
Just first name.
Your wife and somebody named Patrice.
Patrice is when I played co-ed soccer, she was the person that we paid.
There you go. Yeah, those are your 3 friends.
That makes sense. All right.
Your wife also has a redacted -Wilson -numbers after her name, but she's managed to upload a profile photo and only has 2 numbers. So credit to her.
Yeah, she went earlier than I did. I now regret accepting your friend request, if that's what it's called. And I'm going to go back to rectify that.
All right, we're going to look at teams who might take a step back, and the best way to. Are these your teams? These might be your teams because I see one of them on there that was kind of shocking.
Let me look at the rundown. I don't know. I'm sure Debo put it in there, but I haven't seen it yet.
Basically, we're going to try and find teams that made the playoffs last year who could miss the playoffs this season.
Yep, this is it.
Okay.
We'll
start, and we both agree with this one, I think. In the NFC, the Dallas Cowboys, the 12-5.
Okay.
Well, I think, all right. If you're going to pick, we picked teams who we thought could make a leap forward. I do think it probably behooves, generally speaking, to it just seems like it's easier to find teams in the AFC who might take a step forward. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, because a step forward in the NFC can mean winning 8 games.
Right. But I think that this is as good a spot as any. If you look at teams that had we're talking about teams that had a bad offseason, teams that might struggle a little bit more this coming year. The Dallas Cowboys fit the bill, in my opinion, because they could. I think the Eagles are going to win the division, and if that happens, then the Cowboys have to make it as a wild card. Now, granted, it's there's plenty of there's plenty of pathways for them still to get into the playoffs, even as a wild card. But I just tend to think that there is a very viable chance that they could get squeezed out potentially.
They won 12 games last year. That feels like a huge reach just in terms of back-to-back seasons for a team that's good but not great. And I still have questions about Mike McCarthy, which I've been saying since the moment he was hired. So Debo has the Super Bowl odds at 18-1 for the Cowboys, the chance to win the NFC 8-1, and the chance to win the division plus 115. What are your odds that they miss the playoffs? Your Brinson odds.
My Brinson odds that they miss the playoffs. I would say that they are plus 250 to miss.
Oh, plus money. You think?
To miss the playoffs, the Cowboys? Yeah. I mean, they're favored to win the division, and the NFC like doesn't have a ton of great wild card teams. So, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Eagles win the division. That requires a step by Jalen Hurts, but they now have A.J. Brown. I think Sirianni be better in second year. Their defense is going to be really good with all the young players they added. I have questions in Dallas. Now CeeDee Lamb's going to be the number one. I mentioned Mike McCarthy. Michael Gallup is coming off the ACL. They drafted the kid from South Alabama, Jalen. What's Jalen's last name? Jalen Tolbert. And he's an exciting player. He had some drop issues last year and throughout his college career, so we'll see how quickly that translates. He's also coming from a smaller Division I school, so that's also I think South Alabama's Division I, but they're a smaller school, so that has to sort itself out. And Dalton Schultz, is he holding out or is he going to play?
He's going to play. He signed his tag.
Okay, all right, so he'll be there, so that's good. Leo Collins is now in Cincinnati. I don't know if that's going to be a concern or not. They did draft Tyler Smith. Prisco likes Tyler Smith a lot. Tyler Smith, I believe, led the nation in holding penalties last year at Tulsa, so that's a concern. But again, athletic, really young.
Pretty clearly, the offensive line, which has been sort of the strength of this team for the last decade or so, really has gotten worse.
Yeah, no, that's right. I don't know why I'm hesitating. I was thinking more about Zeke Elliott too. Has a chance to bounce back, but how much is that going to matter in terms of this team winning? 2 more games. I think Zeke Elliott playing well is 0.7, 0.8 wins over the course of the season.
I mean, and look, Zeke Elliott's like 0.1.
No, if he plays like best Zeke Elliott you get.
Zeke Elliott is worth wins if he gets hurt and Tony Pollard gets to start.
Yikes. That is disrespectful. Okay. Jared Dubin, go ahead.
I mean, look, Tyron Smith is a 2011 first-round pick. Zach Martin's a 2014 first-round pick. These guys are great when they are healthy and they're playing and they're on the field and they're, you get a full season out of them. But I mean, they're also old. Like they're older guys. This is and you have Tyler Smith who's coming in as a rookie. He's gonna have to start. It's just they just had a lot of turnover on the offensive line. I think at some point it's going to catch up to them. They also traded Amari Cooper and paid Michael Gallup, and then you have Dalton Schultz get the franchise tag. There's plenty of talent there with CeeDee Lamb, Gallup, James Washington. They added as well. Tolbert you mentioned, and then Schultz. Like for Dak Prescott, the pass catchers. I think a lot probably depends on too. Like I mean, bringing back Dan Quinn was enormous.
Yeah, unless you're Mike McCarthy.
Right. I mean, with there's DeMarcus Lawrence, Michael Parsons. You have Trayvon Diggs who had piled up interceptions. I mean, there's just you can kind of see that how the defense can be good, but I could also see the defense taking a big step back and struggling. And if that's the case, I don't know. There's just something about the Cowboys that feels off. Maybe they're better than I think.
All right, Ted. I don't know what the Caesar says, but 10 wins is the wins over Wilson, over under.
I mean, I would probably take under on 10 wins. I think I'm going to probably 9.5 at Caesars, would be my guess.
I would. Yeah, 9.5 is a better number. I don't know what I would do for 9.5. I might go under.
I would be a little. I need to look at the schedule in more detail, but I would be a little nervous about going under. Sometimes this website is just.
I don't know, man. The way that season ended last year, anything can happen.
Wait, what do you Dallas Cowboys over under 10.5 under is minus 145 over
slam the under.
I mean that's a 10.5 is just too
they
high.
won 12 last year, but again the season ended last year with the Dak Prescott draw on 18 to go or whatever it was.
I was trying to remember. I was like, how did that season end again? Yeah, I mean, I'm not betting the Cowboys to win the conference at 8-1 or the division at, even the division at plus 115. I think is a little too short. So I'm with you on the Cowboys. I think they are a prime candidate to take a step back. But it also wouldn't be shocking if they won 10 plus games and won the division. Like that would not be crazy because this is not the NFC West we're talking about. The Giants and the Washington football team are still
more shocking. The Cowboys win 12 games again, or the Giants win 8 games.
Division?
No, 8 games.
The Giants winning 8 would be more surprising, I think.
I think so, which is sweet Jesus. They won 4 last year, so doubling the win total. Yep. Brinson's out. Brinson's out. If you're watching, you see him disappear. If you're listening on the old audio machine, Brinson just disappeared off the face of the podcast. I'm guessing he'll be back. Anyway, I think that's all we're going to say about the Cowboys. The next team up were the old Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I'll just preface this before Brinson comes back on and defends Tom Brady with his dying breath. I'm just going all in on the Buccaneers as a team that regresses only because it has to happen at some point. It probably won't happen this year. It probably won't happen next year. It probably won't happen as long as Tom Brady's playing. But I'm just going to get ahead of it. And the head of it could mean a number of things. Could be I'm finally going to be right, or more likely that I will be once again wrong, and just say that the Buccaneers are going to regress a little bit. Hey, Debo, do we think that Brinson's coming back, or is he going to do the fantasy
We're
draft?
going to hope so. We can chat about the Bucks for a minute. This is a little longer than normal, but you're fine.
I'm over here doing a monologue like I'm Tucker Carlson.
You're the solo. You're Colin Coward right now.
Yeah, Colin Coward over Tucker Carlson might be a better call. Before I go deeper into the Tampa Bay thing, are you still cautiously optimistic about your Eagles, or do you not like to hear conversations like the one we just had about the Cowboys not being as good as most people think?
Yeah, I'm not used to this position where they're like really considered a favorite or the sleeper team, but everybody is on this sleeper team this time around. I think it may be a little overhyped at the moment, but that's what we do during the off season. They've had a good off season, but they're far from perfect. But I love all Cowboy slander, so I'm in for that.
Other than Jalen Hurts, just for the sake of conversation, I don't know where you are on Jalen Hurts at this moment, but what is your biggest concern on that team, position wise?
It's it really relies on the quarterback. It's not the skill position players on offense. It's definitely not the offensive line. Maybe the back seven to an extent on defense, but you added James Bradbury. I feel pretty good with where things are at.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because Brinson, who has more excuses than anyone should on planet Earth, is now blaming his wireless mouse as the reason he can't get back onto the podcast. Oh my gosh, it is insane. All right, yeah, I think the Eagles had the best offseason on planet Earth, and I can't imagine. Is there anything that you wanted to happen that didn't happen?
No, but they were not on your list last week, correct? Of teams that were ready to take the next step, or were you just trying to?
I was spreading out the stuff. I got to go on HQ on Wednesday afternoon. And I have the Eagles as the team having the best offseason.
Okay, so, you don't want to give the pick six crowd like your best stuff. You say. I
mean, I'm just looking like Nakobe Dean. I love. He has to stay healthy. I'm not sure how he's been doing during the non-contact workouts. Anything to report there?
I am not like counting on a ton from him immediately, maybe in like the first 8 weeks, but if he can be like a second half of the year performer, get healthy, get right, I'm looking forward to it.
Jordan Davis is awesome. I think you liked him early on in the draft process. Cam Jurgens is supposed to be people liked him more than I did coming out. I think he went to Nebraska. He's a bigger version, quote unquote, of what's his name out of Iowa that the Ravens drafted. And Jason Kelce. Yeah. Thanks. Is Jason Kelce, did he say this is one more year?
It is probably going to be his last season, but I wouldn't be shocked if next year he said the same thing.
So he didn't say 100% he's done. So anyway, you have depth there with Cam Jurgens. A.J. Brown obviously is huge. So I get why you like to be cautiously optimistic, but I think on paper this team looks pretty good. All right, well, Brinson figures out how to use a mouse like it's 1992. Let's talk about the Bucs. So, I've been sort of pushing this narrative that Tom Brady at 45 or 46, however old he is, I just feel like he's distracted. And again, that's just sort of me making up stuff at this point because he is so incredibly good and has been so good for so long as the best player ever, so on and so forth. But Gronk is gone, although I guess his girlfriend saw a headline that said maybe he comes back. I don't know. I don't even know if it matters. He's basically a glorified blocker at this point, unless he's just there for moral support. Chris Godwin is coming off the ACL. We know they have Mike Evans. But after that, there's not a whole lot. Let me see real quick. What did they do? They didn't have a lot of draft. They got Logan also. Okay, they got Luke Gedeke in the second round. The offensive lineman, right tackle out of Central Michigan, who's actually a really good player and might end up being better than the left tackle out of Central Michigan, the Austrian guy who went to Indianapolis. They got K. Dot in the tight end, He's not going to be Gronk, but who is? Rashad White's sort of an interesting running back. Reminds me of Cordero Patterson. But after that, there's not a lot of guys who are going to help right away. So, there are concerns about, quotes, the offensive line. Let me double check real quick. Did Brian Jensen re-sign there, or did he go somewhere else? I think, he re-upped. So he's back. So
Marpet retired.
And they traded for Shaq Mason, I believe, right? Yeah, I think that's who they got in the deal from New England. They still have Tristan Wirfs. He's awesome. Cam Brate's still there. I mentioned Kate Otten, the rookie. Leonard Fournette came back. So it's sort of the same team.
Big boy, hefty Leonard Fournette. He's always kind of pushing the limits. There's some reports that he's 260. He's saying 245. Jeez. But I think a enlarged version of Leonard Fournette this season.
Enlarged. So where are you on the? And also, I'm pushing this narrative because I'm trying to will the Saints into winning the division. I want Jameis to pick up where he left off and be, he was never great, but be less terrible than he was in Tampa Bay. Chris Olave has to work out. We talked about Trevor Penning on the last podcast, the other rookie they drafted in the first round in New Orleans. Alvin Kamara, Mike Thomas hopefully finally comes back, and the defense has been pretty good. Any chance that comes true? Tampa Bay slips a little bit. They won 13 games last year. Tampa Bay wins 10 games, and New Orleans wins 10 games, but they went on the second.
Put them in another division, and I'm totally buying into this. I cannot see it. The Falcons might have the worst overall roster in football.
Yes.
Not buying the Panthers. The Eagles own the Saints' first-round pick, so I am rooting for them to be as bad as possible, and I don't really see that leap from the Saints. So put them in even like the AFC South, and I could see a regression from the Bucs, but not in this division.
Wow, even the AFC South. So the AFC South All-Star team is beating the NFC South All-Star team. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. We'd have to go player by player, but give me Colts and Titans over, and even the Jags give a little bit of competition.
I think Houston and Jacksonville might actually have a better team than Atlanta and Carolina, because at least in Jacksonville you have Trevor Lawrence, and hell, even Davis Mills if you want in Houston. Atlanta has Marcus Mariota, and Carolina has Baker Mayfield. All right, you talked me into it. Yeah, I like the chances of this happening are probably between 14 and 16%. The Saints winning the division and Tampa Bay slipping. But, I
mean, I don't think they deserve or should be the Super Bowl favorite out of the NFC.
Nor do I. I agree with that.
I get why they are the prohibitive favorite in their division, but to be that much favored over the Packers, the defending champ Rams, I know we don't really like where the 49ers have been positioned all off season, but
yeah, I'm with you. I just want to see if Tom Brady's distracted. Although, now that Bruce Arians' gone up, maybe that makes things easier for him, because there was reportedly some friction between the two. All right. So we'll see. I think Brinson probably agrees with you. The Buccaneers are clearly one of the best teams in the NFC, even though I tend to agree with you. They're not the slam dunk favorite.
Yeah, and that was a big bet for Brinson last year, around like minus 180. The Bucs to win the NFC South, which they obviously ended up doing this year a lot pricier at minus 320. I don't know if he'd advise that, but
if only
he with him now.
Oh, there we go. He's back.
Mighty.
That's all right.
That took like 4 hours.
I did a 2-minute monologue like I was Colin Coward.
It was only like 4 minutes, right?
Well, then Debo joined me for the final 2 minutes.
Okay, good. Okay, sorry about that. My Chrome crashed. My mic was not connected. It would not reconnect.
Skyrizi helps me get going by treating my skin and joints, along with significantly clearer skin.
Your Cialis commercial is playing. Is what it sounds like.
Joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Most Mickey Mouse outfit.
I muted him. He's a complete disaster. Oh my God.
I've died. Here's the thing. Like Debo, this is me speculating, probably trying to get a job at a better company, and they're going to go check this out and be like, "Oh my God, we can't hire this idiot. He can't even run a podcast with 2 morons. One moron, a bigger moron than the other. Doesn't know how to turn off Cialis commercials in the middle of the podcast. Oh my gosh, what is?
Let's take a break and come back with a couple teams. That sounds okay.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back and talk about a few more teams before we mercifully get out of here.
This summer, Paramount Plus presents the Great Reality Escape.
Let's do it.
With new series.
It's time to celebrate!
If you get thrown in, you gotta win.
And new seasons to escape to.
You just became my target.
I have never seen such savages.
With attitudes.
Give me a damn pizza!
Competitions.
Survivor's ready!
And guilty pleasures you don't have to feel guilty about. Escape your everyday reality with our reality every day.
This is big.
Paramount Plus. Stream now.
Oh, you still have it muted, which is hilarious.
Oh,
There we go.
that was so I rebooted my computer hoping that would reconnect the mouse. It did, but it also it rebooted all the programs running on that had been running in YouTube TV. The app was paused. I could not find what was playing that commercial. We were 5 or 10 seconds away from it just blasting Days of Our Lives, which would have been an absolute copyright violation.
What were you watching on YouTube TV?
I don't know. Something that was on, I assume golf because it was on NBC.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Debo and I covered the Bucs, so we have the Cardinals and 2 more teams to go. So quickly.
So you only got through one, huh?
Yeah, despite your efforts for something else happen. Buccaneers. What are the chances they don't win the division?
They're minus 320 to win the division. So I would say I don't know what the.
Well, would you bet minus 320? Because Debo pointed out you bet 180 minus 180 whatever it was last year.
I've got them plus money to win the division when Tom Brady retired.
Oh,
so I would not bet 320. I think that's only because I wouldn't want to. Let's say you wanted to win 3 units, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would have to tie up. Let's say just for you have to tie up a lot of money for the entire length of the season, or until the Bucs clinch the division. I think they'll win the division handily. I just don't think the Panthers are very good. The Falcons are just not good, and then the Saints. I have a lot more questions about the Saints than other people appear to.
Yeah. Again, I was just the point I made was that I'm just betting on this is the year Tom Brady finally comes back to earth, which it won't happen. But if it does, I can be like you and just say I told you so. All right, the Cardinals are the next team on my list.
I think it's a great choice. There's a lot of discord with the Cardinals. Cliff Kingsbury. We have lots of questions about him.
I'll say it again. If he looked like Rob Ryan, he never would have had a head coaching job.
I agree with that. He was actually really high on Cody. He was 13th or 14th on Cody Benjamin's list.
Cody said when you had him on the podcast, what did he say about that?
I was like, explain yourself. And he's like, well,
explain yourself.
He didn't really have a good explanation, but
are you serious?
I didn't think he had a great explanation.
I bet he was blinded by the handsomeness.
Yeah, he grouped a bunch of guys into tiers, and it was like I would have had Cliff Kingsbury below Zach Taylor, right?
Where do you put Doug Peterson?
Above Cliff Kingsbury.
11
was Doug. Yeah,
Did you guys call Spanky Wankman to get his thoughts on that? Because that would have been awesome.
No, we did not. We should have though. Yeah, I would have probably had him. I would have had Cliff Kingsbury a lot lower, I think.
Yeah, I don't know why he would be anything other than replacement level or below that based on what he's done in college and in the NFL. That's fine that Cody has him where he has. We talked yesterday about how in the summertime you do a lot of things. You write down a lot of things and say a lot of things because there's nothing else going on. Right. The Cardinals for me is that they always finish slow, where they have the last few years with Kyler and Cliff. They start fast typically, but now they're not going to have Trey Hopkins for the first 6 games. So they're going to get it from both ends, it feels like, and the division is incredibly tough. I'm not as high on the 49ers as most folks, but I think the 49ers are a better football team than the Cardinals.
49ers have a better roster than the Cardinals.
And Trey Lance plays.
If Trey Lance is good, then the 49ers is a better team.
Seattle's not going to be good. I think no one.
Seattle could steal a game. Seattle could win 7 games.
Sweet mercy. That would be that. It wouldn't be as impressive as the Falcons winning 7 games last year, but it would be quite the feat.
It would be impressive. Yeah.
So, yeah. Plus 300 to win the division. I feel like it should be a lot longer than that.
The Bucks or the Cardinals. Yeah.
I would imagine the 49ers ahead of them or not because of Trey Lance.
Yeah. 49ers are definitely ahead of them.
Yeah. Plus 3. It should be like, I don't know what it'd take.
I would take 5-1 to win the division if I was the Cardinals, but I would want. I'm with
You're
you.
not taking 3-1.
Correct.
I don't know if I'm taking 5-1.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's.
Do they make the playoffs?
No.
No, they don't.
I think they fall back and don't make the playoffs. And look, maybe Kyler takes a huge leap forward, but remember now too, Kyler's stats without DeAndre Hopkins are really bad. And Hopkins is going to miss the first 6 games and has looked like slower and older and sort of like Pete Prisco only put him on his top 100 list because he was scared that he would like look like he should. I mean, like I don't think I have concern like they lost Chase Edmonds. I mean, there's just a lot of concerns about
Chandler Jones,
that offense. Yeah, you lose. Yeah, I mean, you lost a lot of pieces this offseason. If they're in the AFC, I think we would pretty clearly be like, oh, this team's definitely not making the playoffs.
Their draft on paper is okay. It's not great. Like Trey McBride, I like a lot. He was my favorite tight end. He went the second round. He'll be fun. They got Cam Thomas and Monty Sanders.
Traded for Marquise Brown.
Yeah, I'm not. That doesn't get me super excited, but I get it. Reunited Marquise and Kyler from the Oklahoma days.
Yep.
But after that, there are a lot of questions about the players in terms of how early they're going to be able to contribute because they had a second-round pick, 2 third-round picks, and then a pick again until the 6th and 7th round. So obviously the late day 3 guys you wouldn't imagine come in right away and help you. Where Trey McBride and the 2 edge rushers, Thomas and Sanders, hopefully can help sooner than later. But again, are Thomas and Sanders going to be enough to make up for Chandler Jones? Probably not.
I think this like looks like a 500 team to me.
That's especially given them when they cratered over the second half of the season.
Right.
So the first 6 games, no Dre Hopkins. Then the last 8.5 games, business as usual in terms of unless they figure out a way not to lose all the time.
And looking at them last year, they were 11-6. We're a 10.5 win team, so not crazy out of whack.
9.5 over under.
Under probably.
Yep.
I mean, they were 8-0, right? They finished.
Were they
11-6? Weren't they 8-0?
Was that last year?
They were 7-0. Excuse me.
Still.
7-0, and you finish 11-6. That is not good.
Yeah, they lost 5.
They lost. And in fairness, Kyler missed a couple games because remember, he got hurt and they were missing. Did they have him against the Packers? Yes. But
here's the thing: they lost to the Lions, the Colts, and then the Seahawks in the last month and a half of the season.
Remember, they beat the 49ers with Colt McCoy. And then lost to the Panthers in that game where Cam came back.
Oh, and they lost to the Panthers. Oh, get out of here! Yeah,
then they beat the Seahawks. So they went 2-1 with Colt McCoy and still finished 11-6 down the stretch. Like Kyler was terrible.
Yeah. All right, so we agree on that.
Yeah, I think they're an obvious candidate. The Browns.
This is all based on Deshaun. I don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun. I think he's now settled with 30 women. I don't know if any women are left who haven't settled.
Texans settled with 30 women.
Oh, the Texans settled with 30. Deshaun settled with some number of them as well, or not?
You have 24, I believe.
I didn't know the Texans were even settling with people, so they've now been implicated in the lawsuit.
The Texans got added as defendants in the lawsuit and then quickly settled.
Man, I must have been gone on vacation for a long time.
Yeah, I guess it did all happen while you were on vacation. Yeah,
they must have known that was coming if they moved so quickly to settle all that. Okay, so Deshaun still has a handful of women still out there who have not yet settled and may move forward.
The Browns finished 8-9 last year, so I don't know if they're like a fallback team.
If there's no Deshaun Watson for a year and you're rolling with Jacoby Brissett and whoever else they decide to bring in, because they mentioned perhaps, I mean, is that an 8-win team?
No.
In a division with the Cincinnati and Baltimore?
No. I mean, I think we talked about Baltimore as a team that gets better. I think Pittsburgh would be the team that falls back. And I mean, they had, but I agree with you that like if I were picking.
Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh is in the conversation, but how interesting is it to say that Mitchell Trubisky and Kenny Pickett are going to suck? Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I'm just saying like they were a playoff team last year, and I think
Thank you, Indianapolis Colts for that.
That's insane. Like, how did that even happen? I think the Browns and the Steelers finish in the bottom of this division.
Okay, Jacoby Brissett starts 17 games. What's the over under? I'll give you a 8. What'd you say?
Under.
Yeah, 8. Okay, so what if Deshaun Watson starts 17 games? I'll give you.
Let's say 13.
Way under. He hasn't played in 2 years. A year and a few months.
Under 8? If he starts 13 games?
No, under 13. Oh, you said he starts 13 games. They said the over under was 13. No. I just say let's say he plays the whole year. Like say something happens.
Okay, he's not gonna play the whole year. That would be
yeah, but for the sake of discussion, so your
over under would be 10.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I don't know. That's a good one. It'd be close. I might go under. just because he hasn't played well.
I would take the under too. And I think you default to the under in spots like that.
So do they, not knowing how long he's going to miss, are the Browns a playoff team?
No.
No.
I say no.
I agree. Who wins more games if Deshaun Watson doesn't play at all? Baker Mayfield or the Browns?
Baker Mayfield.
What? He's going to win 6 games?
I mean, I just don't. If Deshaun Watson doesn't play a single game this season,
Baker Mayfield on that Carolina roster is going to win 6 football games.
I think I would take the Panthers to win more games than the
Yikes.
Browns.
I don't know about all that. It's close.
Okay.
All
yeah,
right.
and like this all hinges on Deshaun Watson essentially.
Yeah, and then he comes back and they still not going to be good because the Browns just feels that way.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't feel like they deserve. I mean, well, we'll see. I mean, roster wise, like they don't. It's not like they have a bad team. They added Amari Cooper this offseason.
We said this every year,
which they had to do because otherwise.
Last year, I don't know if that was the year that we jumped on the bandwagon or not because it happens so often. Last year's roster was arguably the best in the AFC North.
It was very good. Yes.
So yeah, big whoop.
I mean, just defensively, I don't know, man.
They're the same team. Do they?
Yeah, they're not bad.
Who they get? Let me see. Alex Wright, Perry Winfrey, Martin Emerson. I like Martin Emerson a little bit. Just looking at the rookies. Yeah, they didn't do a lot in the draft defensively, primarily because all those draft picks went to Houston. They have Usakormo coming back. Jadavion's coming back. I don't know if that does anything for you. Anything for me. They have Taven Bryan now. Obviously, Myles Garrett.
I mean, the interior of their defensive line is not great at all.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue.
That's a problem. You can't stop. So they can't really stop the run.
Is John Johnson? They signed him this offseason, or did he play last year?
Offseason,
okay,
right?
I can't even remember.
God, I can't either. We're doing a terrible job with this podcast.
Yeah, it's a young team, defensively, but I think they'll be fine. All right, the Titans.
Yeah, the Titans. They traded away AJ Brown. Yeah, they signed him last offseason. John Johnson. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we weren't wrong.
Well, he didn't make that big of an impact, is why I asked, because I don't remember him flashing a lot last year, even though I thought that was a big signing.
Titans lost A.J. Brown in trade. They added Robert Woods via trade. They drafted Treylon Burks. They also took Malik Willis in the 3rd round. Derrick Henry coming back from injury. We think he'll be healthy, and the offensive line has had some turnover. I always think the defense is like a better bet to be more consistent for Tennessee this year.
Wow. And that defense stunk 2 years ago. Remember how bad they were?
Yeah, they've gotten a lot better, though. I mean, like with Landry and Bud Dupree as a pass rushing pair. Jeffrey Simmons is a monster in the interior. Kevin Byard, Deion Sanders' favorite player of all time.
Yeah, that was awesome. Caleb Farley. I'm not sure how Caleb Farley played last year. I know he's injured for part of it, but first-round talent who had injury issues, I think, back and knee. Elijah Molden was another guy I like coming out. He's going into year 2. They drafted Roger McCreary out of Auburn, who's a really good football player on the outside.
Caleb Farley did not play very much last year.
He didn't play one game?
They did not play very much. He played like 3 games, I think.
Right. I thought I thought most of that was injury related. And then on offense, we mentioned Treylon Burks. Kyle Phillips out of UCLA is okay. I'm trying to see if they drafted an offensive lineman. Nicholas Petit-Frere. He has a chance to be pretty good. Oh, they got the tight end out of Maryland, Chig Okonkwo, whose athletic testing was off the charts. So yeah, I don't know. It comes back to Ryan Tannehill for me. And this team, I don't know how this team won 12 games last year, given how they played in that playoff loss to the Bengals. And I think the other thing is the Matt Ryan All-Stars. You sort of feel like that team is going to turn the corner in a post-Carson Wentz world, and that's going to be an issue for Tennessee as well.
Yeah, and then the other thing I think you can point to is will the Jaguars be? How? I'm serious. I think the Jaguars can be a lot better this year.
Well, but when you took your little 5-minute poo-poo break, Debo and I were saying Houston or Jacksonville. That's your roster, or Atlanta or Carolina, the 2 worst teams in the South divisions.
I think Jacksonville just for the quarter. I mean, just take.
That's what I said. Even Davis Mills is your backup. I mean, and on Houston, on Atlanta, you got
Mills is starting for Carolina or Atlanta.
Yeah, or Marcus Mariota and Baker Mayfield, 2 top 3 overall picks who have not quite worked out. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think you're right about Doug and Trevor. No last names needed.
I mean, I don't think like Jacksonville is going to be great. They just have enough. Like if Doug
They
Peterson,
paid Christian Kirk $40 billion a year, so that needs to work out.
Yeah.
No, they'll be fine. I'm sort of half joking about it. They overpaid Christian Kirk, but if he comes in,
like they spend a bunch of money in free agency like they always do. But my point is just that Tennessee is like Tennessee. I just have a hard time looking at Tennessee's. Remember, I mean, last year before the Julio Jones thing, it was like, man, if AJ Brown gets hurt, this team has nobody to catch passes. Well, and now they don't have AJ Brown, and Julio Jones obviously didn't work out. He's not there anymore. I mean, Treylon Burks is their number one wide receiver. And Robert Woods.
He struggled during the mini camp. I'm not sure how things. They struggled with asthma. They thought. I'm not sure how things unfolded.
Not great
Subsequently, but we'll see how training camp goes for him because they need him. There's sort of no run up time. He needs to hit the ground ready to go. Yeah, no, I don't. I think
over under 9.5 wins for the Titans. Under is -140, so it's pretty juiced. They've moved these things. They're juicing the crap out of these things.
That team won 12 games last year. I wonder what the over-under was a year ago. Probably the same. I mean,
it's 9.5 every year. Like they just, it's 8.5 or 9.5 every year for the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, 12 wins it's just hard to wrap your brain about how they did that. And maybe Ryan Tannehill, I'm just scarred by that last game, and maybe he's not that bad, but I just feel like he feels like
he has a lot to prove this year.
I don't think Malik Willis is going to play this year unless Tannehill gets hurt. I don't think
that's probably right.
That's a concern, even though. The talk was that Willis might go in the first round. Who else is the backup in Tennessee? It is Logan Woodside. So, yeah, Ryan Tannehill, you better.
I mean, Tannehill's just playing for it's a contract year for him essentially because I would think that the Titans move on after this offseason.
I think that's dependent on what Malik Willis looks like over the next 6 to 8 months.
So they have an out after the season where they can cut him and save 20. His cap hits 30. They can save a bunch of money after this offseason if they move on from him. And it seems, I think it seems likely that they will. Worst case, I mean, like he only has 2 years left on his deal anyway, because I think the final 2 years are void years. So it seems reasonable that they move on from him after this offseason.
And even they could if Malik Willis struggles. I mean, if you have a top 15 pick and there are a bunch of quarterbacks in this class, which seems to be the case as we sit here.
Yep.
Maybe they'll draft one.
I think they're very likely to move on from him after this offseason. And so he knows he's playing for it. So like maybe he's more motivated by that. But I think also if the Titans are struggling as a team, you could see them potentially go to Malik Willis. I don't think Mike Vrabel will want to do that. I mean, I just sort of wonder like where the Titans are. I mean, Vrabel was furious in that draft room when they traded AJ Brown. I don't blame him. He's like, he just said, like, he's like, as long as I'm coach, we will not trade AJ Brown. And then John Robinson did it anyway. Like it's still because of the division and because of, I think Vrabel's a really underrated coach. Like this team can absolutely like cobble together a 9 or 10 win season. It wouldn't shock me, but I don't think they're gonna be the number one seed again. And
is there any way that they win more games than the Colts if Matt Ryan is healthy the whole time?
Yeah, there's a path, but I would take the Colts for sure. I still think the number's a little out of whack where it's Colts -115 to win the division and Titans +140. Like I think it should be like
Colts are favored?
Yeah, the Colts are favored out, but I think Colts should be like -130 and the Titans should be like +160.
Oh, okay. I didn't know people were on the Colts. I thought maybe folks were still buying the Titans because of Derrick Henry and their.
No, it's shifted to where people are where the odds are pretty heavily tilted towards Indianapolis.
All right. Well, there you go.
There you go. There's a Ryan Wilson step back teams. A thrilling podcast episode in the middle of July.
Yeah, even though you're only there for part of it.
Okay. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you guys tomorrow.